reaching beyond the borders into the unknown. Welcome to Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma.
How's it going, everyone? This is Kel Epperson. I am the host of Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you guys got a chance, over the weekend I got to be a guest host on This Could Get Weird with Mr. Adam Stone. He is the host of the show. And we tried to do a double header before. He was a guest on my show. We had some issues with the audio. When you listen to my podcast with him about equipment on a budget, you notice that the sound was just horrible on it. I tried to fix it, but the audio was all screwed up on it. I mean, we had everything set up perfect. We had, we recorded this at his studio, and we thought everything was working out fine. We had the professional mics and stuff set up, and everything is run through a mixer board, then it all gets plugged into a laptop, and we use Audacity. That's the program that we use for podcasting. And apparently just by accident, we didn't realize after recording both podcast shows that the settings weren't correct, and that our recordings weren't going through the professional mics. We were being recorded through the microphone on the laptop. So that's why you could hear all the buzzing noises. You could also hear the fan being kicked on by the laptop. I was able to save it because I'm thinking, this is such a good podcast. I really don't want to trash it. So I noted on the podcast, if there was audio issues. I really haven't got a lot of complaints on it. The people that have listened to it let me know that even though there's some bad audio, they could still understand what was being talked about, and they really enjoyed the podcast. So I got to talking with Adam, and apparently the podcast we did with his show, we weren't able to save it. It was totally worse than what mine was, apparently. It sounded like we were talking out of a soda can. It was bad, folks. It was really, really bad. So we redid it. It turned out great. You can find it on This Could Get Weird. Just go to his site. I can't remember what the episode is right offhand, but it's going to be noted as Demons. We sit down and we talk about the Ouija Boards, which I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on my podcast. Yeah, with Adams, I think it turned out great. So if you get a chance, subscribe to his channel. And don't forget to subscribe to mine. Just click that subscribe button down at the bottom of the YouTube channel. Make sure you like me on Facebook as well. Also, I just recently posted a little small commercial for myself. I've never done commercials before. I'm going to be at the 2014 Palooza, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks. The event is going to be hosted by Midnight Paranormal, and it's going to go through September 5th and 6th. It is a 2-day event. Yeah, because I'll be at both of the conference dates. I had a hard time trying to get those days off, but I think my boss is going to let me have those 2 days off. But I'll have a table set up, and I want you guys to come out and visit with me. Sit down at my table or my booth. I'm going to have a live podcast going, and I just want to sit down with people, and I want to hear about your ghost stories, hear about your paranormal experiences. Let's talk about it. I'll talk about it live on the air. A lot of people, they do have weird experiences, and, I know myself, I've had some strange experiences, so come out and visit with me. We'll sit down and just have a blast with it. The event, like I said, it's going to start off on September 5th. Everybody that wants to join on, like I said, the event, it's going to start off on September 5th for the 2014 Palooza, and we're all going to meet up at the Seward Road and I-35 Shell gas station. That's just right before you get into Guthrie, and this is going to be the first night, folks. So we're going to meet up there in the Midnight Paranormal crew once everybody gets arranged, and this is going to be about 8 o'clock. We're going to leave that area about 8:30, and they're going to escort us to a haunted location. Now, this location is an old farmhouse. I think you folks will enjoy it. I investigated out there before. It's Midnight Paranormal's Paranormal Research Center. I remember the first time I investigated this location, they were trying to film a TV show out there. They never investigated this property before. It's actually owned by one of the members of the team, and they just picked the location because it looked creepy. They separated it. They had a bunch of people there, and they separated us out into different paranormal groups, and they sent us into this location. My group was the first one to actually go in and investigate. We're sitting in the kids area, and we're having having just a basic sit-down session. And it's warm in there anyway because it's in the middle of the summertime. And they got the cameras going. Now, this location has no electricity whatsoever. I mean, we literally had to go down a dirt road and then across a field just to get to this place. That's just how old this place is, okay? It just looks like a basic abandoned location out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's freaking antique cars sitting out there in the middle of the field next to this place. That's how old this place is. And so, back to this sit down. You know, we're basically asking questions. They're filming us. The cameraman, he says his camera goes dead. He's like, what the heck? You know, the batteries are good on this thing. I don't understand what happened. Then our recorder just goes completely dead. The only light we have in this whole room is this little T-lamp thing. And you can buy them at Cracker Barrel or you know, any store that sells stuff like that. And it's just a little battery-powered T-lamp. And it's just for decoration. And it kind of flickers a little bit. So that's the only light we got in this whole room. You know, the place is pitch dark. While we're doing the sit-down, I noticed that the temperature on the inside, even though it's hot, it seemed to get even hotter. And the air got really thick. The cameraman's like, okay, guys, hold up 1 second. You know, you can still ask questions and stuff. I need to run out and get the other battery, and I'll come back. So right when he turns around and gets ready to walk out the room, all of a sudden, the closet door in this kid's room just busts open. And when I mean bust open, it was like somebody was on the inside of the closet door and like they kicked it open. It violently opened up. So all of a sudden, women start screaming, people jump, a couple of the girls go running out of the house because they're freaking out. Yes, it startled us. Me and this other guy, we kind of looked at each other and I thought, you know what? I hope they ain't faking this stuff. That was my first thought. I thought this has got to be jerry-rigged just for the TV show or something. So we go and check the door, look in the closet. There's nothing in there, folks. Absolutely nothing. There's no trigger items. It's just a door. I asked a question. I said, if that was you that kicked this door open, can you turn that T-lamp off? And I'll count to 3 and then you turn it back on. So the light goes out, I count to 3, and then it turns back on again. So that was a pretty wild experience. So the team ended up going back to this location again. We did another investigation. The same thing happened again, but it wasn't in the children's room. It was in the master bedroom. We were just basic sit down. We were talking, and then all of a sudden, the closet door in the master bedroom just, boom, opens up on its own, like something violently kicked it. We investigated there ever since. You know, we've been just kind of glued there. That's when we kind of decided we're going to make this a paranormal research center because it's active. We do get EVPs out of there. Most of the time it's a woman's voice. On occasion we'll get a guy's voice. It's a good place. It's not really, I don't think it's a violent spirit that's there. When we first entered this building, you could tell the country folk kids broke into the place before because they have to padlock it now. The kids' room had a lot of graffiti, anarchy signs. I really believe the spirit that's there is there to protect the building. So anybody that comes in there to vandalize, I think the spirit's just trying to scare them out to keep the building from being vandalized. Now for us, our paranormal team, I think the ghosts and spirits are just used to us being there. And they know we're not going to be violent or destroy any property. So the wild and craziness is stopped. The most significant thing that we'll get out of that location, besides EVPs, we do get K2 responses. Now remember, there's no electricity. There's no EMF fields in that area. We're out in the middle of nowhere. So this is a very cool location, folks. Like I said, it's going to be September 5th. We're meeting up at the Shell gas station off of I-35 and Seward Road. And then at 8:30, the Midnight Paranormal Crew is going to escort us out there. And we're going to have a campfire-style conference, all right? We're just going to sit around the old campfire. We're going to tell ghost stories. We'll talk about paranormal theories. We kind of want it as a relaxing environment. Like I said, I'm going to do a live podcast out there. I would really like to do it inside the farmhouse. But depending on the temperatures, I'm sure it's going to be hot. So as long as the temperature outside, I'll record outside as long as it's not windy. Because I don't want to hear wind going over the mics and stuff. Now, when you come to the farmhouse, if you want to investigate the farmhouse itself, you can. Now, we will charge for investigating the farmhouse. It's $5 to investigate the farmhouse. That's nothing, okay? To get into the conference itself is free. If you want to be a vendor at the conference, that's cool also. It's going to be free also for the vendors. Just bring your own table. And the food there, you're like, okay, what are we going to eat? Well, it's going to be a potluck style meal. So, at the farmhouse, just bring hot dogs, s'mores, hot dog buns and stuff like that, okay? And you can roast them over the campfire. But the farmhouse is going to be great, guys. I think it'll be fun. It's creepy out there. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's freaking creepy. Saturday, September 6th. Now, that's the second day of the conference. We're going to be joining up at the Mineral Wells Park in Guthrie. Now, if the name sounds familiar, it's the area where they had the very first OU and OSU Bedlam game ever. Okay, so this shows the historic of this location. Park, it's going to be located at 900 South Division in Guthrie, Oklahoma. So join us out there. It's going to be great. They're going to have a round tabletop conference. Like I said, still bring your tables if you want to be a vendor. I'll be out there. I'll still be doing a live podcast. I'm going to do it like part 1 and part 2. So the farmhouse is part 1. The Mineral Wells Park will be part 2. So join me out there. I'll be sitting at the table. And we'll be talking about ghost stories. I still want to hear about your stories, all your paranormal experiences. Just sit down with me. We'll go live on the air. Now, what's great, the conference on Saturday starts at 12 p.m. and it'll go through 5 p.m., okay? The investigations later on that night, I think we're going to start the investigations probably at 7 p.m. So at 6 o'clock p.m., we're going to be separating people into groups and going over the rules for the investigations. So Saturday, we're investigating 2 different spots. The first spot is Guthrie Haunts. And what Guthrie Haunts is literally a haunted fun house. Yeah, it's a fun house. It's actually haunted. We've actually gotten activity out of that building before. And the other location is going to be what we call the old Mercantile building down in Guthrie. It is a paranormal research center for pros investigations. And what we'll do, we'll split up both teams at 6. And then at 7 p.m., we'll all go off to our locations. And we'll investigate both locations probably like from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then we'll rotate sites. So the ones that were at the Mercantile will go to Guthrie Haunts. And the ones at Guthrie Haunts will go to the Mercantile. And, you'll get to investigate both locations, okay, folks? But yeah, just I like to see you guys out there if you can. There are going to be other paranormal groups out there. Anytime you have conferences, you have all groups from Oklahoma that meet up, some from out of state. I'm really hoping my friend Raven Snow, she's from Tops Paranormal, which is the Texas-Oklahoma Paranormal Society. I hope she gets to come down and visit. I was hoping she was going to get to come to the one down in Lawton last time, but she had some other things going on. But hopefully this time she'll get to come and actually get to meet her face-to-face than over Facebook. I like Facebook. It's good for communication, but it's not the same unless you're talking to someone face-to-face. That's just me. Well, I don't know if everyone knows or not, but yesterday was National Ghostbuster Day. Did you wear your Ghostbuster shirt? Well, I wore mine. Even though I have to wear a uniform, I had my Ghostbuster shirt underneath the uniform. And I've seen a lot of selfies on Facebook with everyone wearing the Ghostbuster shirts. But I think it's pretty cool that they're going to bring back the original movie, and they're going to put it out in theaters for everyone to watch. If you never watched, Ghostbusters on the big screen, I really recommend it. It's just like Star Wars, Star Wars is not the same unless you watch it on a big screen. So I would kind of recommend when Ghostbusters, the original movie, hits the big screen, go and see it. A lot of people don't realize that Dan Aykroyd, who played Ray Stantz in Ghostbusters, he's really big into the paranormal phenomena. And that's why the movie itself has so many references to parapsychology. They talk about ectoplasm and all that stuff. And you think it's kind of funny when you watch the movie, but he pulled all that stuff, from basic ghost hunting, basic study into ghosts and demons, and he's really big into aliens and Bigfoot. If you get a chance, I would go and see Ghostbusters on film. It's the original movie. I know everyone's seen it a million times. It's their 30th anniversary. I think they're still trying to get Ghostbusters 3 out. So if you get a chance, go check that out in theaters. Alrighty, one thing I want to kind of talk about here is Ouija boards. Evil, monstrous Ouija board. Talking to the dead and seances. Alright, let's just jump right on into it, okay? I get asked a lot about Ouija boards. Kel, do you use Ouija boards on investigations? Do you try to summon spirits? As a paranormal researcher, no. No, I don't summon spirits, okay? When we go to a location to investigate, the ghosts, spirits, or whatever are already there. We don't have to summon anything. Technically, you could probably get EVPs out of your own home. Is your house haunted? No, probably not. It's just the idea of that spiritual realm is everywhere. A lot of people think for ghost hunting you have to ghost hunt only at night. No, you can ghost hunt during the day as well. I mean, you can ghost hunt anywhere. So when we go to locations, if we start asking questions and stuff, we're not summoning spirits. Okay? If we get no responses, we get no responses. Okay? But we don't summon anything to us. So when we dive into the Ouija board, I kind of want to go and start off with the scientific side of it, and then I want to get into the spiritual side of it. I want to be open. Now, like every episode of Paranormal Investigations that I do, I tell everyone to be open-minded, okay? I'm not here to judge religion. I'm not here to bash people. None of that stuff, okay, folks? I just kind of want to throw this information out to you. Now, some of the stuff I got pulled up on my computer, so if you hear any clicking noises, I'm not very good with reading off words sometimes. Freaking Okie accent here. So you kind of have to bear with me. I've seen and did research on Ouija boards, okay? I haven't used Ouija boards myself. I'm not going to. It's just not my thing. To me, I'd rather, if I need to find out if spirits are there or not, I will use something a little bit different like EVPs, or use a Spirit Box SB7 or a Ovilus 3. I'm not into the board stuff. Now, you guys got to think, when the Ouija board originally came out, okay, it was known as a spirit board or a talking board. And if you don't know what a Ouija board is, it's just a flat wooden board, or just any type flat board. And it's marked with letters of the alphabet on it. It goes through numbers 0 through 9. It's got the words yes and no on there, hello on occasion. It's got goodbye and other various symbols and graphics on there. Now, with the board, it's laid flat on a table, and they use a placient. And what a placient is, it's just a small heart-shaped piece of wood, okay? Or it's a movable indicator to indicate when the spirits are trying to talk to you. So the theory is the spirits, even though your hand is on it or other people's hands are with you on this placient, that the spirits are guiding this piece of wood to tell you yes and no, spell things out for you in a quote-unquote seance, okay? And this is where you're trying to summon spirits to you. So the people using the placient put their fingers on the placient, or the cursor, I like to call it a cursor, and they move it around the board, and the spirits are supposed to be spelling out words, okay? The word Ouija board is trademarked, okay? It's generally referring to the talking board. Okay? It originally was created by a businessman named Elijah Bond back in July of 1890. Now, the Ouija board itself was regarded as a harmless parlor game, unrelated to the occult, until probably at World War I. American spiritualists, okay, popularized it as using it as some form of divining tool in World War I. World War I, they did a lot of stuff like that, divining rods, Ouija boards. Even the Germans themselves were into paranormal stuff, trying to find out ways of increasing their goals in battle, okay? They tried all different kinds of stuff. The mainstream religions and some occultists have associated the use of Ouija boards as the concept of demon possession. They're afraid that people are going to use it and be possessed by the devil or a monster, and they caution people with the use of Ouija boards, and they flat tell people just don't use it. Despite being criticized by the scientific community, it is deemed demonic by Christians, but the Ouija board itself still remains popular with many people. It's kind of crazy. The Ouija board itself, it was a kid's game, a parlor game. You think I'm crazy, but yeah, it was a parlor game. It was just for fun. You're having drinks with the old friends. You got people coming over for a party. Hey, let's whip out the old Ouija board and let's pretend to talk to spirits. It was for entertainment purposes. But, when it boils down to the religious aspect of it, especially with Christians, they look at it as a form of witchcraft. Because with religious criticism, it has expressed beliefs that the Ouija board itself reveals information which only should be in God's hands. God should be the only one to reveal spiritual information. So anything that's not of God is a tool for Satan. Okay, that's what they look at it on a spiritual side of it. They talk about a lot in the Bible about you're not supposed to be summoning spirits. You're not supposed to be communicating with the dead. Christianity is just one of those religions where it's either good or bad, light or dark, God or the devil. There's several religions like that. I'm not here to pick on Christianity. I'm not a religion type person. I'm more a spiritual type person. Religion itself can cause a lot of problems. Like I said, we're not here to bash religion. Just kind of bring it out with the Ouija board itself. A lot of people really believe, though, on a spiritual side with using a Ouija board, that you may think you're talking with Grandpa, but you may be talking to a demon instead, or some form of devil or malicious spirit. Some people believe that you can open portals with it. On a scientific level, now I'm trying to stay with the scientific level for Ouija boards, is that scientists really believe that you're not really talking to spirits with it. Okay, folks? They believe that it's just unconscious muscle movements. Yeah, that's the only thing that's causing it. With people's hands on there, you're basically moving it on your own, and you're not realizing that you're moving it. It's kind of like when your hand's on that cursor becomes part of your hand, and you're just moving it and not even realizing that you're moving it, okay? For me, when it comes with Ouija boards, now, there's a lot of stories, okay, just to kind of keep the hype up of Ouija boards. I remember with movies, they started coming out with people using Ouija boards. In these movies, I think it was The Exorcism. The girl uses a Ouija board to speak with someone that's passed on, and she ends up talking with the devil, and she ends up being possessed. And on the podcast with me and Adam, we were talking about there was a town in Mexico where these people were using the Ouija board, and apparently they all got possessed by demons. And when you really look at it, the people in Mexico were taking drugs. It boils down, they were taking drugs. So that really means it wasn't demons that were possessing them. They were having reactions to the drugs. My personal belief is that Ouija boards, it's just a board, folks. It's just an object. I think scientifically, the Ouija board itself really doesn't summon spirits. I don't really think it communicates with the dead. That's my personal opinion. I'm not big into using Ouija boards. It's just not my thing. I just think it's a piece of wood. I think if you really want spirits to talk through it, it's going to happen because you want it to happen. Trying to stay on the scientific side of it, people want to believe that ghost phenomena is so real, they can't grasp the concept that it's not real, if that makes sense. And me as a paranormal investigator, when I investigate a home, I'm there to disprove they have paranormal activity happening. So if I do find anything, like an EVP, or something strange that happens, I'm basically saying, yeah, this is paranormal. I'm not saying your business or home has a ghost in it. I'm just saying it's not normal. That's the meaning of paranormal. Like I said, back to the Ouija board. Okay, sorry to drift off. I think the Ouija board is just a board, folks. It's just an object. I really just don't think it summons spirits. I just think it's a parlor game like it was originally intended to. I think just movies and culture and people into movie like television and stuff, I think they really hyped it up, and I think that's what scares people. Things on television, people believe in whatever they watch on television. Unless you physically go out there and test it. No, I haven't tested a Ouija board out in the field myself, but other scientists and stuff have, and they have proven that it's not spirits that's moving the placement. It's the people that's moving it. Now, let's get on to the spiritual side of it, okay? For the spiritual community, they do believe that Ouija boards are bad. You could be summing up monsters or demons. The idea with any object, doesn't matter if it's a Ouija board, if it's a Bible sitting in front of you, if it's a cross sitting in front of you. It doesn't matter if it is a Indian medicine wheel sitting in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's a Kodak printer, an HP computer. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of paper. It's kind of the idea on a spiritual level is that you're putting energy into something that doesn't belong there. One of the things I talked on Adam's podcast when I first got into the paranormal field, I was on a spiritual team, and we investigated this lady's home. She had complaints that her son was always violent. There was a lot of negativity in the home. When we went into the home, it was very heavy, and we noticed she had all these different religious stuff just on her walls. Crosses, the Lord's Prayer. She had Indian medicine wheels, Indian dream catchers. She had these Aztec-looking dolls. And she had all these different religious beliefs in her home, all these little icons and stuff. We were asking her questions like, oh, what's the reason for this stuff in your home? And I'm hoping she was saying, oh, I just want it for decoration. Well, she was saying, well, I hang that cross up there because it will protect me from evil. Hang up the medicine wheel for healing, the dream catchers to catch my bad dreams, and all these different things she's telling me about. So she was putting energy into objects that didn't belong, okay? The wooden cross on the wall, it's just a piece of wood, folks. Yes, it is a symbol of Christianity and of Christ, but there's no power in that wooden cross. It's just for decoration. It's just to show your support of your faith or your belief. Is no different from hanging up a medicine wheel. Now, if you use it on a spiritual sense, different depending on your culture. Like I said, I always mention to keep an open mind. Don't get angry or ticked off at me, okay? She had all these different religious stuff in her home, and each one she empowered energy into all of that for protection. We had a theory with the group leader. He's really into spiritualism, into astral projection and stuff like that. He could sense the tension in the home, and one thing that he mentioned was all this energy that's trapped in this home. From doing studies online and research, and these are different spiritualist pages and stuff. When, like the wooden cross, let's use that for example. If I put my energy into that wooden cross and hang it up and say, oh, I'm going to use this for protection of me throughout the home, it will protect me. Well, you might as well be hanging up a pentagram. Because when you're putting energy into something that doesn't belong, it attracts negative energy. The group that I was in that's kind of the group leaders, that was his impression, is that all this negative energy was being attracted to these objects. We did have paranormal activity in the home, EVPs. We had caught on video where a light turned itself on by itself. We also got EVPs, a lot of EVPs at the home for like help me, release us. So we ended up getting several EVPs. One was of a man, another one was a woman, which the client identified as her mother, a couple of children. They all seemed like they were in distress from the EVPs we were getting. And we were getting Class B and Class C EVPs out of this location. And during that investigation, we could smell the mother's perfume. And this was in the living room area. Well, one thing that the group mentioned to her, the group leader mentioned to this client was, go ahead and remove those items from the home. And then in about 2 weeks, put those items back up, but just say, these items for decoration only. So when you hang that cross back on the wall, it's not to protect you. When you hang that cross back on the wall, just say it's for decoration. And do that with all these items. Now, with all the negativity in the home, like I said, I was with the spiritualist group. We recommended cleansing and blessing the home, which she done. If there was anything negative in the home, the cleansing and the blessing is what got rid of it. Okay, you cleansed out the negative, blessed it with positive. So when she put the items back in the home again, she literally out loud said, I'm hanging this cross up as decoration. I'm hanging up this medicine wheel for decoration. So all the little items that she had, she hung them back on her wall and just set it there for decoration. And we would check up with her like every 2 weeks to see how things were going in the home, and she had no more paranormal activity. So I think the same thing kind of goes down with the Ouija board. Okay, on a spiritual sense, that's why I'm not into summoning spirits, okay? Because you're putting your energy into the board to ask spirits to communicate with you. And the deal is, when you're using this board, you don't know who you're talking to. Oh, I want to speak with Grandma. Speak to me, Grandma. And you may be speaking with a demonic presence, which is very rare, but you could be speaking with a demonic presence. You could be speaking with just an evil entity, and when I mean entity, just a negative spirit. You know, you don't know who you're talking to, okay, folks? I read a story online. It talked about this young man who, he was in college, and he was doing a paper on the paranormal. He was doing some research paper. So he started using Ouija boards. And him and his girlfriend went out to a cemetery and tried to summon spirits. His intent with using the device was to actually summon a spirit. So he's using his energy and he's focusing on this Ouija board to pull spirits into him. So as he's doing this, him and his girlfriend witness a dark entity from the cemetery, and it scares them so much they flee the cemetery and they literally like kick it home, okay? As I'm reading this article, it goes into telling how this young man started seeing the stuff at home. He got to the point he was starting to allow this dark presence to possess him. When it comes down to demonic possession, a lot of people ask me, can demons possess you? Aren't you scared that ghosts are going to possess you? And I tell them no. Reason being is because you have to allow it. If it's a demonic presence or a ghost to possess you, you have to allow it to happen. Can they stay near you? I do believe so. And a lot that, now I'm speaking on the spiritual sense, okay? Yeah, when it comes down with spirits and stuff, like back to the story again, he had to go through prayer and cleansing of himself to remove this dark entity from his life. Take it as you will when it comes with Ouija boards, folks, either on a scientific side or a spiritual side. People are like, well, I got this Ouija board, how do I get rid of it? Do I burn it? What do I do? Spiritualists always say you don't want to burn a Ouija board. Some people say to bury it. I even heard spiritualists say, well, all you need to do is cleanse the board and then you can just throw it away. It all boils down to your interpretation. Like I said, this is a paranormal show. Options are open, man. Just keep an open mind on a scientific level. Like, my belief is the Ouija board is just a freaking board. It's just a wooden board, and I truly believe the people using the board, it just boils down to they're moving the cursor. It's not ghosts doing it. As a paranormal researcher, I have to debunk that. And I truly believe that. I think the board is just a board. Now, if I go into a home and they're using a Ouija board, I won't be around for that. Sorry. Because on the spiritual side of it too, if I go in to investigate a home and they've been using a Ouija board, guess what? You brought it in yourself. It ain't like something just happened to show up. You invited this presence into your home by using this freaking thing. Okay, because you're using your energy and you invited this creepy thing in your home. When it boils down to Ouija boards, use caution. Some people think they're experts on it. I don't know if they are or not. If you think you're an expert on it, don't bash me over it, because I don't know if you are or not. Like I said, I want everyone to be open-minded when they listen to shows like this. I'm not here to bash anybody. But, some things in the paranormal field, I have to admit, I just kind of roll my eyes at. And when it comes to Ouija boards, I hate to say it, I kind of roll my eyes at it. I think a Ouija board itself, it's just a board, folks. I think it's a kid's game. It's a parlor game for entertainment purposes. I always recommend caution with anything. And that's just being open-minded on a spiritual sense. If your intent is to use that board for negative reasons, you're going to get negative responses. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's like a tool. I could have a hammer sitting on the table, and I can either be positive and build something with that hammer, or be negative and destroy something with that hammer. It's just like anything else. When it comes down with Ouija boards, I'm not really big into them, guys. I'm really not. It's up to your interpretation of it. I think I'm going to start wrapping this podcast up. I'm glad that you tuned in with me. Join me next time on Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. I think the next episode I'll be live from the old farmhouse out in Guthrie. So I want you to tune in, because like I said, it'll be a live broadcast. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Come out there and come see me September 5th and 6th at Palooza. Like I said, the 5th, the old haunted farmhouse. On the 6th, we're going out to Mineral Wells in Guthrie. Yeah, just come out there and join with us. I think it'll be a great time. Come out and investigate that old farmhouse. All right, we don't allow any provoking or anything like that. And then on the 6th, yeah, Guthrie Haunts. And investigate a paranormal research center. And I tell you what, that old mercantile building is one of the most active locations I ever went to. Any type of paranormal phenomena you think can happen there happens at that location, from either objects being knocked over, clothes being grabbed, people being touched, smelling weird smells. And what I mean by weird smells is if you're in a dark, damp, musky basement and you smell perfume and it's not coming from any of your team members, guess what? It's paranormal. Hit that subscribe button down at the bottom of my YouTube page. I hope you liked this episode. I don't want you thinking I just kind of thrown it together. I really trying hard to try to get these out to you on a weekly basis, and it gets difficult. And a lot of it is because I work so much. I have long work schedules, and plus my investigations. I have to go over audio and video from ghost investigations. But I really trying hard to get this stuff out to you guys. I enjoy doing podcasting, but I'm glad you guys are tuning in. I'm really glad. I'm just doing this to educate people. When I first got into the paranormal field, I would have died to have shows like this. A lot of stuff I've learned is just research, digging through books. Then the internet came along, and I learned a lot from the internet and just personal experience with television. I used to watch those old, 80s, 90s ghost shows, sightings, unsolved mysteries that talked about ghosts. And it's amazing what you can watch. I tell you what, if you can get on YouTube and you can look up those old shows, I recommend it. Watch how those, the original parapsychologists and the original ghost hunters used to do their ghost hunts. It'll just blow your mind. Look at the equipment they use, the old reel-to-reel tape recorders, the old VCR tapes. It'll just blow your mind. Just old school tape recorders, man. Those are gold now if you can find them. Everything's went digital. Yeah, I recommend watching those shows. But I'm going to tune off here. I hope everyone has a great day. Like I said, subscribe. Hit my subscribe button down at the bottom. And also subscribe to my friend Adam Stone of This Could Get Weird. I'll talk to you folks next time.